into the world below, where beauty and mystery can always be found. It dives fearless and free, chasing the strangest foe, but against all adversity, sails homeward bound. Stingray, 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 stingray.
Hello there, my loves. It's Monday. Jimmy's back. With a plague. Listen to this voice, isn't it wonderful? It's rather deep, rather manly, which is unlike my normal voice. But, yeah, so the last time I was ill was over 18 months ago. It was just before me and Vanessa got married. And I started thinking, right, I've got a new form of protection. My immunity, the spell worked, basically. I'm immune to everything. No, it seems I'm not. I've picked up something. And over the weekend, it jumped into my lungy, my loves. So that's why I'm talking in a rather sexy, husky way. Anyway, let's move on. So I'll say provisionally what I hope will be coming your way this week, but I can't make any assurances. There's no guarantees here. But anyway, let's see. So tomorrow, hopefully a live stream painting of Chalky's homeworld. That will be tomorrow evening. Wednesday, maybe a bit of Misty, I'm not sure. I've got 2 new Misty annuals, but I haven't unboxed them yet. I was going to do them as a mini book haul, so I might do that on Wednesday instead. How about that? Thursday, shall we do a live stream? If so, what would the theme be? Let me know. Plague related? But yes, who knows? Friday, perhaps something else. I'm saying all this. I don't know if I've got the energy to do it all, but we'll see. There'll be something coming your way. You can bet your left nut on that, or your left nipple. Apologies. I'll get to... So yeah, last week I didn't really do much. I started getting better and then I went worse again. Better and worse, that kind of thing. So it could go worse again. But anyway, I feel a lot better. Hopefully it's all okay now. So I don't have a great deal to talk about. Did I do anything? No, not really. Apologies, my love. There's a bit of lung butter came out there. Anyway, right, so yeah, I don't have much to talk about, really. So I thought I would talk about a story, one of the many stories I have about my life, my loves. Now, this one concerns a pair of shoes or a pair of boots that I used to own that repeatedly tried to kill me. Now, this is true, my loves. They were cursed boots. Let's give you a bit of provenance as to where the boots came from. So I used to work for an ambulance car service, so basically patient transport. And it was a very seriously run organization, I suppose you could say. Lots of ex-military people running the show, and so we all had to wear a uniform and all of that, but our boots had to be steel toe-capped ones, for some weird reason. But they were very sturdy boots and they were given to us free, which was wonderful. And so when I left that job, I still had my lovely boots, which I then carried on wearing when I went on to become a taxi driver. Anyway, my loves, I didn't realize at the time, but they were cursed. And so the first inkling of trouble that I had was that one evening, no, it was it was over the weekend. I'd built up a lot of glass in my room. I was living on my own then. This is before Vanessa came on the scene. So I had lots of empty wine bottles and the like. And back then, the council wouldn't take glass for recycling, so you had to take it yourself. I didn't have my own car or anything like that, so I filled up 2 carrier bags full of glass and a massive backpack on my back, all full of glass, weighed a ton, and I had to carry all of this about 2 miles up the road, up a hill. All was going well until my boots tried to kill me. Now, the problem with these boots was they had these weird clasp things on them, and one of the laces from one boot went around one of the clasps and suddenly hog-tied me mid-step, and I couldn't do anything about it because I was completely laden down, glass both hands and on the back, and I just went down on the ground. Smashed glass everywhere. I got cut up. And I was just sprawling on the floor for a little while. I was swearing and cursing, basically. And this dear young lad came over. Well, he was a student, so there's a lot of student accommodation in the area. He came over and said, "Are you all right, old boy?" And I said, "These fucking shoes of mine are trying to kill me." Anyway, he went off and got a dustpan and brush. What a lovely man. And he swept all the glass up and we poured it back into my various bags. And and I bid him farewell, and I said, "Well, that's never happening again." So I made sure my shoelaces are all put away tidily and made my way on. Got to the top of the hill, turned around the corner, happened again. Got hog-tied, went down, smashed again. So everything in my bags previously whole, like jam jars and wine bottles and all of that kind of stuff, was now just shattered glass. Got some more cuts and some more passers-by. They didn't help me. They weren't as nice as the other boy. But anyway, there we are. That was the first day when I knew something was amiss with these boots. A few months later, I was taxiing, and one of my jobs as a regular, I had to take her shopping. So I drove her to Tesco, I think it was, let her do her shopping, came back about an hour later and brought her back. Now, this woman had a drink problem, a little bit like me, and she had these massive bottles of wine. I didn't even know you could get bottles this big back then. These were litre bottles of wine. I don't even know if you can still get them. Anyway, she had a couple of those devils. And as part of the service, I carried them to her door. Guess what happened? Yes, my shoes hog-tied me once more. And I went down and kind of yelled in a manly way. It probably didn't sound very manly as well. Smashed the shit out of her wine bottles. I had to fucking drive back to Tesco and buy her these mega bottles of wine on my own money, of course. It's fair enough. But once again, my shoes had tried to kill me. The final straw, I was on the taxi rank, which is in the middle of the high street of the town I was working in. It tried to do it again, and if I had fallen then, I would have been right in the traffic and I would have died. So at that point I said, that's enough, and I got rid of them. So anyway, have any of you ever encountered any cursed items of clothing? Discuss. Anyway, there we are. That's a little story I wanted to get off my chest. Vanessa brings it up occasionally because it always makes her laugh. I mean, it is ridiculous. That day I was taking the glass. I mean, crikey. Anyway, I'll just conclude by talking about a couple of things we watched over the weekend as ever. And would you believe it? It was 2 movies, 2 relatively recent movies that were adaptations of Stephen King's stories. Right, so the first one, I think, was called The Life of Chuck. Pretty sure. And this is based on a short story of his that I've never even heard of. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now. Yes, The Life of Chuck. It had the same name when Stephen King released it. If It Bleeds was the short. It was 4 novellas in If It Bleeds. If It Bleeds, Life of Chuck, Mr. Harrigan's Phone, and something else. I just briefly looked it up then on Wikipedia. But yes, it was really wonderful. We really enjoyed it. So the movie, I assume, is rather close to the novella in that it's told backwards. So three acts, and you begin with the last act. After the first part of this film, you kind of have an inkling of what's going on, really. I'm not going to give anything away at all. But what I will say is that it features, Chuck is played by Tom Hiddleston, a fine actor. I really like his stuff. The Night Manager being one of his best things, I would say. But of course, he played Loki and all of that nonsense. But he's so good in this. And there's a scene in it where this young girl is busking in the street. She's playing drums. And Tom is playing an accountant or a banker of some kind, all dressed up in his suitcase, briefcase, stops listening to this music and then starts dancing spontaneously. Such a brilliant scene. And it all makes sense when you watch the last part, which is the first act of the story. But yes, really enjoyed that. That came out in 2024. Never heard of it. But I think many of us know that Tom can dance. That fellow can dance. He does it on, if he goes on talk shows, he does a bit of a boogie occasionally. Anyway, fucking hell, what am I talking about? The last thing is The Long Walk. Finally got round to watching that. It appeared on Amazon Prime out of the blue. With adverts, of course, but they were few and far between. This came out, was it last year now? I guess it was last year. I don't remember. But yes, I loved the original story that this was based on, one of the Bachman books. And as far as I remember, this is very faithful to the original text. Just as bleak, just as unremitting, just as sad, and just as joyous at times. I mean, it's kind of humanity laid bare by the extreme situation that these young men are faced with. Also featuring Mark Hamill playing the military general fellow, which he did pretty well, really. But the ending I thought was slightly different to what I remembered, but more or less the same. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Vanessa liked it too. Worth a gander if you haven't already. Now, it could have been an absolute shambles, but I think they did it pretty well. Anyway, that's me today, my loves. Let's leave it there. So if all goes well, I'll next see you tomorrow for the painting live stream. I think I'll be okay for that. And then we'll just see how we do for the rest of the week. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, cheers for watching. Cheers. Cheerio. See you next time. Boy.